what real cold feels like. I guess I've gotten used to tropical weather.
You here all the way from Nebraska?
Miami.
Miami. That closer to Omaha or Lincoln?
Gee, it's great to be home. They told me in Minneapolis that I could change buses here for St. Olaf.
That's right.
How much is it?
You want the express or the yokel?
Don't you mean local?
No, ma'am, I mean yokel. On the yokel, a family of first cousins plays banjo music as the passengers get on and off.
Do they take requests?
No.
Give me the express.
You got about an hour to kill.
Oh.
Excuse me. Are you waiting for the bus to Northern Falls?
No, St. Olaf.
I've visited there. Lovely little town.
Oh, yes, it is.
Rolling hills. Charming homes.
Yes.
Full of idiots.
Yes.
What? I never saw anything like it. Must be the water.
I grew up in St. Olaf, and most of my family still lives there.
Oh, no offense, dearie. I didn't say that everyone there was an idiot. It just seemed, though, that per capita they had more than their share.
Oh, well, per capita, you're probably right. I just hate the idea of wasting time. I always have, ever since what happened to my neighbor in St. Olaf.
Rose, are you about to educate us on the evils of wasting time by telling a long, tedious St. Olaf story?
Do you know a better way?
There's a point, Blanche.
It was back in 1955, and we had just moved into our first house right next door to Pigpen Johansson. That wasn't his real name. That was a nickname.
Pigpen.
No, Johansson. Anyway, Pigpen had just turned 80, and the town bylaws made him leave his job teaching driver's training at the high school.
On at 80, it was about time.
Well, it had nothing to do with his age. There was an old law on the books about driving with your shirt off.
I once got arrested for that in Chattanooga, too.
Blanche, let me ask you a question. Are you allowed to go back to Chattanooga?
Are you kidding? The sheriff still rides.
I don't believe it! This is incredible news! I've been nominated for St. Olaf Woman of the Year!
Oh, that's nice. Did the new TV guide come yet?
Blanche, you don't understand. In St. Olaf, this is the highest honor there is. Oh, I never dreamed that someone as unqualified as I am would ever be nominated for anything so important.
I guess Dan Quayle really opened the floodgates.
Last year, Gretchen Lillehammer won for running into the burning library and saving all the books.
That is amazing. How'd she do that?
Well, she took 2 books in one hand and 1 in the other and ran like the Dickens.
Your library only has 3 books. What happens when a person's read them all?
I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Well, I knew she'd be okay. Something similar happened to me back in St. Olaf. I was injured during a spirited game of Go-Wackanoggin.
Should I? Oh, what the hell? Rose, what is Go-Wackanoggin?
It's a lot like baseball, except instead of hitting a ball, you whack yourself on the head. After 10 whacks, if you're still standing, you take first base. It's usually a very low-scoring game.
This is so depressing.
We haven't had a customer in 2 hours.
Well, that's because we need promotion.
You know Blanche is right. It doesn't matter how good your product is, you have to know how to promote it. That sure was the case with Fritz Vanderhoeven, who owned the St. Olaf Motor Coach Company.
They built a car in St. Olaf?
They sure did. The Vanderhoeven rocket. Oh, it was a beauty. Fritz really had vision. Actually, he had double vision, which is why it had 8 tires. I heard a fable when I was a little girl in St. Olaf that might help. Can I tell you?
That's right, Rose. Wait till my defenses are down and take advantage of me.
Okie dokie. Once upon a time, in the magical land of Fluffuvenhaven, lived Tunder the mediocre tiger. He was called mediocre because there was nothing special about him. He wasn't talented, he wasn't smart, he wasn't rich, he wasn't handsome, he wasn't good at anything.
If he also wore a bad toupee, she could be describing my Stanley.
Anyway, it made Tunder's wife miserable that her husband was best known for being mediocre.
I understand Marilyn Quayle feels the same way.
So she asked her fairy godmother to grant Tunder the ability to perform incredible feats of magic, and her wish was granted. Tunder the mediocre became Tunder the magnificent.
Guess you didn't want to change the monograms on his towels.
Well, Tunder the tiger spent so much time performing that he didn't have enough time to spend with his wife. Well, she told him that she missed the time they had together when he was just mediocre. So Tunder used his magic only once more, and that was to make his powers disappear.
And they lived happily ever after?
No, actually, she got bored and ran off with Wiseblat the Weasel. That was Tunder's old business manager. They lived happily ever after.
What happened to Tunder?
Oh, who cares, Glenn? Hey, once you hear happily ever after, it's over. Rose, what are those bills for?
The doctor prescribed them when I wrenched my back.
I didn't know you'd hurt your back.
Oh, it's an old farm injury from St. Olaf. Oh, I'll never forget when it happened. It was time to plant the crops, but after 17 years of pulling the plow, poor old Bessie was worn out.
Well, why didn't you just get another mule?
Well, Bessie wasn't a mule. She was a big fat lady who pulled farm calls for a living.